A very good morning. Welcome to Top of the Morning by Mint, your weekday newscast that brings you five major stories from the world of business. It's Wednesday, March 26th, 2025. This is Nelson John. Let's get started. India's states are receiving far less in revenue deficit grants from the centre, with funding plunging from 1.18 lakh crore rupees in 2021-22 to just 24,483 crore rupees in 2024-25, and is set to drop further next year. Now, these grants, which are meant to cover post-devolution revenue gaps, are being phased out under the 15th Finance Commission's plan to push states towards financial independence. A finance ministry told Mint, the declining grants are designed to bring states' revenue and expenditure to balance over time. While overall central transfers to states have risen, crossing 9.89 lakh crore rupees in FY25, the direct revenue support has steadily dwindled. The Reserve Bank of India notes that states' revenue deficits, which spiked during the pandemic, have since improved but remain a concern. With state tax revenue growth staying strong, up 11.1% in H1 FY25, states are trying to fill the gap. However, fiscal deficits remain close to the 3% limit set by the Finance Commission. The big question, can the states sustain this financial discipline without heavy central support? According to a Reuters report, Samsung Electronics is facing a massive $601 million tax demand from Indian authorities, who accuse Samsung of evading tariffs on telecom equipment imports. The dispute revolves around Samsung's classification of remote radio heads, RRH, which is a crucial component in telecom towers. Officials claim Samsung misclassified these items to avoid paying 10 to 20% tariffs, a move deemed fraudulent. The Directorate of Revenue Intelligence, DRI, launched its probe in 2021, conducting searches at Samsung's Mumbai and Gurugram offices. Investigators found that between 2018 and 2021, Samsung allegedly imported $784 million worth of RRHs without paying duties. In 2021, the company deposited 300 crore rupees while the case was under investigation. Samsung denies any wrongdoing and is weighing legal options. This case is part of India's broader crackdown on foreign firms' import practice. Volkswagen is also under scrutiny for a hefty back tax demand. For India, these actions reinforce its stance on tax compliance, signaling that global giants won't get a free pass on regulatory obligations. Tired of spam calls? Who isn't? Soon, your phone might automatically display the caller's name without needing Truecaller. India's top telcos, Jio, Airtel and Vodafone Idea, are preparing to roll out Calling Name Presentation, CNAP, a feature that will show caller IDs using telecom databases. Trials are already underway, with Nokia, Ericsson, HP and Dell supplying the necessary tech. We're already implementing CNAP and have ordered equipment, said a senior executive from one of the telecom operators. Initially, the feature will work within the same network, that is, Jio to Jio or Airtel to Airtel, so on, until data sharing between operators is mandated. Feature phone users may be left out due to hardware limitations. The push for CNAP comes amid rising complaints about spam calls, 1.5 lakh in October 2024 alone. However, full implementation faces hurdles, including data sharing regulations and technical challenges like network load and call setup delays. With the government pressure mounting and trials ongoing, CNAP could soon become a game changer for the Indian mobile user, bringing transparency and tackling fraud one call at a time. Wipro GE Healthcare is going all in on Make in India. The 35-year-old joint venture between GE Healthcare and Wipro Enterprises has kicked off a $1 billion investment plan to expand local manufacturing and exports, aiming to make 70% of its products in India by 2030, up from 40 to 45% today. We anticipate reaching 70% locally manufactured products to meet India's market needs, says MD Chaitanya Sarawat. Wipro GE exports medical devices to 70 countries, with the US and Europe as key markets. While the US is considering reciprocal tariffs on Indian medtech, the company remains unfazed. Its diversified supply chain and strong domestic manufacturing base acts as a buffer. These investments will boost R&D, expand manufacturing, and add a new facility to its existing 4 plants in Karnataka. Wipro GE produces high-tech medical devices like MRIs, CT scanners and patient monitors, most of which India still imports. With India's medtech market set to grow at 20 to 23% annually, Wipro GE is betting big on local demand. More people getting insured is driving demand, Sarawat notes. Government incentives like the National Medical Devices Policy and PLI schemes are further fueling the sector's expansion. Come April, banks could start cutting deposit rates as they brace for another possible RBI rate cut. With credit demand softening and inflation cooling to 3.6% in February, bankers expect the central bank to lower the repo rate again in its April meeting. The rate of interest on deposits should start coming down from April, said Bank of India CEO Rajneesh Karnatak, adding that this will help improve net interest margins. Now, most banks held off cutting deposit rates after RBI's February rate cut, fearing deposit outflows amid peak loan demand. But another rate cut would leave banks with little choice. Lower deposit rates would allow lenders to reduce borrowing costs for businesses and individuals. But the impact on margins will take time since older deposit remains locked at higher rates. With competition for deposits still fierce, banks may start trimming short-term deposit rates, while long-term deposits may see similar cuts. The big question, who will blink first? Large banks are waiting for mid-sized lenders to move before making their call. That's all for today. Thank you for joining in. We're eagerly looking forward to our next Top of the Morning episode, which will be packed with the latest in business news. Until then, this is Nelson John signing off. Have a wonderful Wednesday.